Welcome to Straight Words with Naba'a Muhammad. Our live show airs Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. to midnight on WVOM AM 1690 Chicago. We are also hosting archives on YouTube and Spotify. This evening, we really got a very special interview with a very special brother, and I'm really glad to have him and to have him share his share his thoughts and his story with you. Assalamu alaikum, Brother West Muhammad. How are you, sir?
Wa alaikum salam, sir. I'm doing great. Very happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Brother West, I've always been proud of you, like so many in the Nation of Islam, and have seen you do incredible things. Um, but I think recently you had the honor and worked your way to be the youngest student admitted to Coppin State University, a historically black college in Baltimore, at the age of 14 years old. What does that feel like?
Yes, sir. Well, first, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. And I would like to greet my listening audience with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And to answer your question, for me, it was a great feeling knowing that I got into college because my whole life I know about college and I've seen it. My mom is a graduate from Coppin State University herself, so she's taught me a lot about the school, a lot of the wonderful people she's met there, some of the experiences that she's been blessed to have. So going there myself was great because it gives me an opportunity to first go to college and get my education, further my education, and continue on the path of my life and ultimately starting my career soon. But besides that, it also allows me to carry the torch that she's placed in my hand because my mother was the first graduate in our family, and that's on both sides of my family. So now I have an opportunity to become the second. And of course, that would be great for my family as far as setting an example. But also, it's great for Baltimore and the young brothers and sisters that are out there. And besides that, I think it also bears witness to our teachings here in the nation. We're taught to excel through these educational institutions. And I believe the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we should treat learning as a gift and that we should all be blessed with the gift of learning and to take what we learn to further our nation. And that at 6 years old, a child knows their purpose, I believe, by 6 years old. So, it's basically bringing all of that together to now be able to do something like this. And it makes me great that, it makes me feel great that I'm able to do it, and not for, I would say, the glory of being the youngest or the first or anything like that, but to just give an example and a testimony of how wonderful these teachings can be when they're applied in real time.
Mm. So, Brother West, what are you majoring in right now?
Right now, I'm majoring in cybersecurity engineering. I've always been fascinated with technology, computers, phones, things like that. We often go to the mall, and since I was younger, I would want to go to the Apple store that's at the mall, and things like that. Just seeing how far technology can go. So that's what really motivated me to major in cybersecurity because I feel like in today's world where we're depending on our devices and databases and information systems so much, that should really be secured so it doesn't get into the wrong hands and sometimes it can ultimately ruin people's lives. when certain information or data is taken, because a lot of things you can't get back.
Mm.
But besides that, I am thinking about minoring, or I would say, like, I think you get a minor in journalism because that's one of my passions. But I feel like cybersecurity is something that would also allow me to have a stable career and a backup plan in case journalism doesn't work out. But yes, sir, that's my current major for now.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful plan and a wonderful way for you to create opportunities for yourself. And of course, I think journalism is a great career. And I think you combining that with cybersecurity is certainly an excellent choice. I think the cyber, well, actually, both allow you to forge your own way in this current media landscape where people are just creating their own platforms, right? So they don't necessarily have to wait for anyone to hire them. But I think that cybersecurity is an incredibly important field, and I think that you can do both. I think you really had a capacity and the talent to do both. So, Brother West, you graduated high school at 14, right?
Yes, sir.
You entered college at 14.
Yes, sir.
Tell us something about the journey that brought you here and your incredible mother.
Yes, sir. Well, that's a great question right there. So, as I stated earlier, my mother is the first graduate, college graduate on both sides of my family. And since graduating, she had me. And at a young age, I remember being taught how to read and also just being nurtured at home educationally. And of course, in other ways, in other areas besides that. But that was really important to my mom to see that I was successful in my academic endeavors and also just excelling through school. That way, I would have the choice and the chance to take as much time to see what it is I want to do in life, find my purpose, and ultimately bring it home to the nation, bring it home to my family. So it was really a goal of hers from the beginning to get me through education, get me through school, things like that, as fast as possible, while still retaining the information, of course. So not just going through it for the sake of saying that we did it. And of course, it's been it's been a little, I would say, it's been a little fast paced at times, but at the same time, I think it's a wonderful experience, and I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. But yes, sir.
Well, it seems to me, Brother West, I think one of the things is that, I always say this that fathers play an important role in the lives of children. But I guess, as we say, I believe we've heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say and the minister say, it's mothers that make children great.
That's right.
Fathers have a role to play, but it's really mothers. So we salute your mother, Sister Courtney, for her outstanding work. And I guess she doesn't have a book, huh?
Not yet, but she's definitely been talking about it. A lot of people ask her that.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah, she might want to write a book and share all of these lessons. I mean, she's one of several sisters in the Nation of Islam that have produced great children. And I think those lessons from these mothers who actually did it, and I know from the education and the raising of my 6 children, it's not an easy task. And it's not easy to put a child on a path that leads to success, in particular, the type of special success that you have had by Allah's grace. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because the mother and the father have a vision, but the mother in particular has a vision. and she executes that vision. She puts it into the mind of the child. Then the child buys into the vision. And that's what brings the incredible success. Now you've had a variety of educational experiences before college, right? Why don't you
Yes,
talk
sir.
to us about some of those experiences and how they went for you?
Yes, sir. Well, one thing I did want to add to that original question was that my mom really taught me to accept my own and be myself.
Mm,
And that's going back to the teachings that we've been taught. And just striving in the way of Allah, she was able to put me on an accelerated learning program. So I was able to be skipped from first at pre-K. And besides that, I remember she would teach me my different lessons and different like multiplication and addition facts over the summer, and she would all basically like just put me on her own little curriculum. So that allowed me to still retain the information that I was learning in school, and then also learn more besides what I was being taught. And going back to your question, some of the experiences I've had. Now, do you want to be a little bit more specific?
well, like, were you homeschooled? Did you go to
Okay.
public school? Was there a combination?
Right. It was ultimately a combination from homeschool for high school. And besides that, I did do some public schools and private schools for elementary and middle school. So, yep, it was ultimately a combination for school.
Mm. How do you feel that combination worked out for you?
I think it worked out great because it allowed me to still have some experiences of being around, different types of children and different types of teachers as well, and not just doing homeschool or just doing private or public, but it was really, I guess, a medley of all three, and that gave me my own opportunity to see how different schools can be.
Mm,
And I didn't go to any, I won't say like bad schools, but I didn't go to a school that I regret going to.
mm.
All of them were great in their own way. So, yep, I think it was great how it was done for sure.
Well, that's Brother West. One of the things that when I look at you, um, and you talked about the great virtue of learning, and this first of all beginning with your mother instilling you with the knowledge of yourself
That's right.
and inculcating in you a love of yourself, your people, your God, your nation, and bringing along with that a love of the virtue of learning, which so many of our children don't have today because we have not given it to them. We haven't given it to them. So and you mentioned how you felt this was a victory not only for you, not only for the nation, but for young black children and students, in particular in Baltimore. What does your victory say is possible, or what do you think your victory represents in terms of the potential of black children and youth?
I think it represents that, like you said, it is possible. So often, the young black male, is thought to be almost a troublemaker or not capable of being educated in today's society. And back then, during like the slavery times and things like that, from what I've been learning from my history class here at Coppin, is that they would often kind of like place bets on us to see if some of us could read or if some of us could learn how to write. And there was a man in particular that was almost treated as a guinea pig by, like a white slave owner. I don't remember his name specifically, but it was basically kind of like an attraction to see this intelligent black man that was really almost as smart or even smarter than some of the white scholars back then.
Mm,
So in today's time, me being here, like I said, is not just a victory for me or my family, but it's really an example of the power the black man and black woman can have when taught correctly and when they are willing to learn as well. Because although I would say you can try to copy what somebody else is doing, or try to go to the same schools that I went to, or things like that, but it won't have the same result unless it's done intentionally and from a place of love, which is why I often don't lift the names of the schools that I went to, because although they were definitely great schools, what they did for me is not necessarily a factory to get another young 14-year-old college student, but it's really up to you and up to us to take control of our education and just prove to the world and to ourselves that yes, it's possible to be a scholar, black, white, or I won't say white because that's been proven for sure, but our
Hmm.
Hispanic brothers and sisters out there, our African brothers and sisters, it's always possible if it's done correctly for sure.
What impact has the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had on your success and on your thinking and your orientation?
That's a great question. So the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it's really a foundation for me and other young believing children that are here in the Nation of Islam, because from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we learn that first, accept your own and be yourself. And also, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad specifically is a prime example of the black man taking control of his education um, without regard to an educational society or a curriculum, because we know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad only had a third grade education from this world standards, but Reader's Digest and other resources and other um, programs out there will say that he was the most powerful black man in America, the most intelligent, and that he had the greatest influence besides some of our definitely great freedom fighters and black icons out there, such as Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois. And basically, that besides those educational barriers that he had to cross over, he still became one of the greatest black men to ever live. And besides that, reading his book, of course, Message to the Black Man in America, was very important for me because it exposed a lot of, I would say, like tactics and agendas that are in today's society that are put there in place for us not to be successful. So, I could really go on and on with that. But yes, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words, his teachings, as given to us by today's Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, are definitely important to get your education at an early age or to achieve some of those seemingly impossible goals.
And it's okay if you want to add some more to that, Brother West, because um, I think that that's important. But because as you said, the schools you went to, they were not necessarily bad, but it wasn't those institutions alone that produced you.
Right.
And it looks to me like an incredible amount of that shows one, the wisdom, the love, the dedication, and the brilliance of a black mother and black women to
Right.
put you on such a path. And the other thing is the supreme wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, allowing you to learn who you were at an early age so you could begin to seek your purpose and begin to see the world differently. I know that when I joined the Nation of Islam, I was 26 years old. Now, I remember as a child, my mother, my family, in particular my mom, my aunts, exposed me to black consciousness,
Mm,
black history, the Black Panther Party.
right.
We didn't celebrate Christmas. We didn't celebrate, thanks to my grandmother's influence, we didn't celebrate Halloween. We didn't celebrate Easter. We didn't eat pork. So all of those things sparked in me questions. Well, first of all, it sparked in me a love of black people. But the second thing it sparked in me were questions about why did we do the things that we do? And why were we so horrible at times to one another? I didn't get the answers to those questions until I was 26 years old.
Mm,
But here you are as a child, and you have the opportunity to get answers to major, major questions that now move you forward incredibly. You know, you mentioned message to the black man. What are some of the things that that book represents to you?
Message to the Black Man in America. That was a great book for me. I think it's one of the, well, not even one of the, I think it is the best book that I've read so far. And
Mm.
in an interview, they asked, like, what was the best book that you've read? And that was my first answer, really, because that book gives so many life lessons that I think that every black man should know. And as Student Minister Nuri said, each time you read it, it's something new that you can learn from that book. No matter how much you think you've absorbed from it, or even how much you've applied, it's really the basis, or I would say a strong percentage of what the Nation of Islam is based upon. Because in that book, we have the economic plan, we have lessons on how to treat our women, we have lessons on how to carry ourselves as the FOI, and we're given a history of um, how we were treated back then. And it really shows us how much farther we should.
Yeah, you faded out a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir, Brother West, coming in loud and clear.
Okay, sorry. I just chopped right there. But I left off on, what was that? We were basically shown how much more powerful we would be if we applied what's in that book, and if we also stuck together as black people. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we would be able to change the world overnight, just with our unity itself. So that book is great. We learned that a good name is better than gold. We learned so much that Islam dignifies. If I had the book in front of me right now, I'll be able to, go through. But
Mm-hmm.
the last point I'll leave off on is what really stuck with me the most is Yaqub's story. So just learning how, the Caucasian man was made by one of us, that's really powerful for me. That one of our brothers, a black man, and even back then, without today's modern technology, was able to create an entire race of people, just based on years of practice. And although Yakub wasn't a mad scientist, but he was operating on heavy science. It was interesting that even though he died at the age of 150, I believe, his plan and goal was still put into practice, and it came true just off of practicing what he taught his other 59,999 followers. So us today in the Nation of Islam, when we continue to follow what we've been given from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we can really do a lot, and we can really change, even if not the world, but just black people in general. We can really evolve overnight, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying, if we just stay true and, of course, get the other, uh, I guess you would say, lost founds that are out there and get them on board. We can really get out of our condition that we've been put in today.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, Brother West, and again, I keep coming back to this point because to me, it's so impressive. But the value of learning. Very often, we are kind of taught or trained that learning isn't fun. Something else is fun. But I
Mm,
guess that include that. But I guess that would be dictated by who is teaching you,
that's right.
what their motivation is, and what it is you're learning. What made learning enjoyable for you?
What made learning enjoyable for me? Well, I think that the way my mom did it really, it really set the foundation for what I'm doing today. I can't remember exactly what or how she would teach me, but I do remember going through different words such as, like, the cat, hat, mat, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and she would put a rhythm to it. So that's how I learned how to start pronouncing what I was seeing and blending it together. And besides that, I remember we would do addition using my Hot Wheel cars, things like that. So I think it all just bears witness to the fact that when you are taught something in a way that's not being pushed on you or forced on you to get it done, but instead you are given time to absorb the information being put in front of you, you can really learn a lot more and really not even learn it, but start to apply it to your life and then continue on what you've learned if you want to take it farther or if you want to start teaching other people. That's another level of mastery right there. But when you're taught something in a way that's not pushing it on you, it really makes a big difference and it allows you to take your knowledge further for
Mm.
sure.
Are there any particular subjects or anything that you particularly enjoyed learning about or studying?
Hmm. Well, I know that English is one of my favorite subjects right now because writing is my passion, and being able to write on the things that I want to write, that makes a huge difference as well. Or even when you're given a topic to research, that allows you to learn a lot more because you're able to read from what other people have written or even get hands-on information and take that and then put it in a way that others can understand and learn something from it too. So English is one of my favorites. Math is definitely, I would say, tied with English because math is really infinite. Whether you're learning algebra, geometry, trigonometry, college algebra, calculus, pre-calculus, all of those different subjects. And then I'm starting to get into, like, basically taking that math and now putting it digitally and on the computer to actually go deeper with it. So I haven't done anything too serious yet, but I'm getting into that. But that's really showing me how much these numbers, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and basically 1 through 10, can really take you so far just depending on basically what you're doing or what you want to do with it. So that's really great to me, and I'm trying to remember a quote. Oh, yep, this is one of our foundational principles here in the nation where we learn that mathematics is Islam and Islam is mathematics and that it stands true. It can be proven at no limit of time. And then you must use it to secure a benefit while you are living. That is luxury, money, good homes, and friendship in all walk of life. So that's basically saying use that math that you're learning, no matter how daunting it may be, how matter how boring it may be, and that if you use it correctly, it can really bring benefits to you that you wouldn't even imagine. So English and math are two of my favorite subjects for sure.
Let me, I'm sure you've gotten this question from other people, but I think a lot of it is based on our lack of understanding about what a child can retain, in
Mm,
particular when it's given the supreme wisdom.
that's right.
But so do you have fun, Brother West? Do you have things you enjoy in addition to the enjoyment of learning?
Yes, sir. I get that question a lot, just like you said. But yep, it's definitely not like the Jackson Fives in my house. Where I'm just constantly reading 24 books a day or anything like that. But no, it's definitely a balance that comes with learning. So some of the things that I do, I like to just ride my bike some days. And just this recently, I went to Six Flags with one of my best friends. So that was great going there. But yep, besides that, my mom always makes sure to give me a break from like moving on to the next thing or even handling what I have before me now, because we know that burnout is very unhealthy, and that when you reach burnout, it can be difficult to come back to what it is you were doing. So whether you're in the ranks and you may be on post for hours at a time, or in my case, you may have a lot of assignments doing the same day. It's important to take those mental breaks and do something you enjoy to get it done better than just rushing it, because that's really never good when you just
Mm,
rush through something. But yes, sir, I definitely have enough breaks, have a lot of fun, things like that. But yeah, I get that question pretty often.
I'm sure, because we are taught to basically kind of look at fun as one way, as you got to, but there's great joy when you can read and you can get the enjoyment. There's great joy in when you begin to master something, or you're dealing with something and you, oh wow, I got it now. There's great joy in it, along with all the other things that you said. Being able to go out with friends, being able to ride your bike. You've had the opportunity to travel to different cities. You had the honor and responsibility, and been a great contributor to what Islam has done for me.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that program, and when did you get started as a co-host? How did that happen?
Right. Well, I got started on what has Islam done for me as a special assistant back in December of 2021. But before that, I was a fan of the show because, like some of you may know that may be listening, the show is ran by Brother Donald Muhammad, who's a native, well, not native, but he spent a lot of time here in Baltimore before moving to Richmond, Virginia. So I knew him when I was younger. So when he started a show over the pandemic, of course I was a fan of it. And then he would start asking me basically if I had any questions for the guests and things like that. And before I know it, I was saying prayer, uh, just closing out the show. And then after that, it's really been history ever since. But yep, through what has Islam done for me, I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of our great believers out there, whether they may have been in the nation for 30 plus years, they may have their own businesses. We had a family on that had their own farm, praise be to Allah. And even if they don't have a lot of those extraordinary things or, big accomplishments, it's great just reaching out and building relationships with believers in different cities, because at Savior's Day, it's like you get to meet all of those wonderful people and then build those relationships that you wouldn't have ordinarily had without platforms like this. So, what has Islam done for me? It's a wonderful, wonderful platform, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. But, yep, I got started back in December of 2021.
So that was what? So you were what? 11?
I think I was 11. Yeah, I think so. Because that was around the time that, yep, that was around, yep, so 11. Yes, sir.
And so, what day does the program air, and how can people tune in?
What is Islam Done For Me airs every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right now we're on StreamYard, so we've moved from Zoom. So if you want to tune in to our platform, you can type in WHID FM on YouTube or Facebook, and it'll take you directly to our live stream. Once again, that's WHID FM, and it'll take you right to the live stream. You can tune in and put your questions in the chat, and we'll highlight them on screen. But yep, make sure you tune in every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So we really got to shout out also Brother Donald, who is
Definitely.
always been a big supporter of me personally, and
Yes, sir.
a big supporter of straight words. So we got to shout out Brother Donald. I've asked you a bunch of questions. I'm wondering, is there anything in this discussion that you'd just like to bring up, talk about?
Well, yes, sir. I would say that although, and I hope I made this clear, but although I've been blessed to do a lot of these wonderful things at this age and even younger, I want the listening audience to know that it's definitely possible to do these things no matter what age you're trying to do them at, as long as you have the correct support system, the right people in your corner, and you are willing to go a lot of those nights, sometimes not getting much sleep, or sometimes wondering if it will be worth it. Sometimes you may be, wanting to hang up the towel, but whatever it is you're trying to do, if you're trying to start your own business, you're trying to become the first to do this or the youngest to do that, it's always important to stay true to yourself, lean on Allah at all times, and then of course lean on your family when you can, and to just see me not as somebody that you should be trying to be, or even trying to, I would say, like, feel bad that you see me doing things like this, but to just see it as an example that it's possible to go after those things that you want. So yes, sir, I would say that for sure.
Okay. So, Brother West, how can we follow you? How can we keep up with you?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram, and that's BRO period WEST underscore M. Excuse me. You can follow me on there to just stay tuned with my journey. Sometimes I may post, an update every now and then, but yep, that's Instagram, BRO dot WEST underscore M. So bro.west underscore M on Instagram.
Well, Brother West, thank you for spending some of your valuable time with us. I'd also like to say you have had work published in the Final Call newspaper,
Yes, sir.
which I'm very proud of. And in this week's edition of the Final Call, we've got a story about Brother West.
All
I don't know
praises
if you
be to
know one was
Allah.
in there this week, but we got one in there about you.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. I'm looking forward to
Oh,
reading it.
yes, sir. All praises due to Allah, brother. Give my love to your mother, your family, your grandfather, the great brother Rasul,
Yes,
in
sir.
particular. In particular. So you come from a great stock, brother. You are really adding so much to your family history, the history of our nation, and the history of our people. So with that, unless you got anything else you'd like to say, we'll be wrapping up.
Yes, sir. Well, I just want to thank you for inviting me on your wonderful show. And I wish the show much success as well, of course. Yes, sir. I'm just happy to share a few words with the audience, for sure.
All right. Well, brother West, thank you, my brother. And inshallah, we'll be talking again soon. Assalamu
Yes,
alaikum.
sir. Thank you. Wa alaikum salam.